Hello there, I'm Scotty. You're not welcome back to the all-new Smallville Retrospective, where currently I am revisiting ones I've already done. So we are on episode 2 of season 1 of Smallville, Metamorphosis, which picks up right where the last one left off. So I think it's the only one that does that, except for like cliffhangers and stuff, you know. But so to me, this has always been the first, like in my opinion, the first Freak of the Week episode, first proper one. Cause no offense to Jeremy, is what I'm calling him in the first one, but he was not really an adversary. His story wasn't really a big part of the storyline. Here, it's a little more. The character of Greg Arkin, played by Chad Danoa. Crazy. You're crazy. The guy from Saw the Final Chapter. But, he plays Greg Arkin, a meteor freak, that's what they call him. And he gets turned into a bug guy. Bug boy, bug man. So to speak. And spoiler alert, sort of, this isn't the only time we see him. I mean, he hasn't come back for a while, but a long time, but he does come back. And it's weird because I always assumed he died in this episode, but no. So you can watch this and the pilot right after each other as sort of a double feature, a big 2-hour episode or whatever, but it's not really. It's connected. It is connected because, like I said, you start off right with the last one. Pick up right where the last one left off with, you know, him seeing Lana, goes into the sky, and then we cut to Greg in the tree watching Lana and collecting bugs. He gets home, he's arguing with his mom, and she says that she has discovered that he's spying on Lana. So she's going to send him to a military academy. Oh, who's going to look after my bugs? Yeah, this episode, I'm already itching. Man, this episode's about bugs. I hate bugs. It's about bugs. It's just, sorry, it unnerves me. I hate bugs so much. How anyone can love them is beyond me. But so, well, Greg, he's collected these bugs, and they have been modified, let's say, by the meteor rock kryptonite, which we'll call it later. By the meteor rock, and he gets into a car accident. All the bugs get loose and attack him, which caused him to have bug powers. He can climb on walls. He has abnormal strength. He can jump real high, that sort of thing. On the bug powers. Basically Spider-Man without the spider powers. So he does have a weird, I would say, string shot, like the Pokemon move, out of his mouth. At one point, he attacks his own mother. But and he has designs on Lana, of course, because Lana is the one every guy has to go after, except for Pete. Whenever antagonist comes along, they gotta go after Lana. And as we go through this series, you'll find me no more annoyed at the Lana plots because they seem to work Lana into everything. Like here, like Greg and Clark have a history because they used to be friends back in elementary school. And then, of course, Greg and Whitney are at odds because Whitney is still her boyfriend. And Clark has designs on Lana, so then Lana is the middle ground. Everyone's after Lana. It's a love square now. Not a love triangle. It feels like the writers didn't know. Like, you already have 2 guys fighting over Lana. Why a third one? It's like they had to figure out a way for Greg to be connected, and so Lana was the obvious choice. But, you know, Clark is still trying to figure out what's going on with him. You know, they're at this produce market, farmer's market. They're bringing produce and stuff. Lex is there, and okay, so I was wrong when I said that the factory he was working at is a cream corn factory. I think that's the one that Pete's parents own, is the cream corn factory. I think the Luthers own the fertilizer factory, is what Jonathan Kent says. Because Clark is talking to him about, he thinks the meteor rocks are infecting people. This is after Greg attacks them. He's like, you want an explanation? Luther Corp. Who knows what they're putting out of that fertilizer factory? If there's meteor rock in the fertilizer, then I could agree. But I'm just saying. But I do like when Lex offers a handshake. Jonathan shakes his hand and walks off. He's like, at least I got a handshake this time. Lex's role in this is kind of minimal. He does show Clark he's still got the necklace, but he's got in this box, a lead-lined box, which he gives to Clark. And that becomes very handy in the future of the show, this lead box. So he's like, hey, you give it back to Lana, you can be the hero. Because, Lex shows up at the stables and talks to Lana, and it's like, you should ask your boyfriend where he was before the big game last night. Before the big game. On Saturday. So she does, in a confrontation, she's like, you did it to Clark. Why? And she's like, I want my necklace back. He goes, I lost it. Were you planning on telling me? He knew how much, not to defend Whitney, but he knew how much it meant to her. And so it's kind of hard to tell her something like that. I'm just saying. Whitney is attacked while driving home. And by Greg. And almost killed, but Clark saves the day. And this is the first time that his parents see up close, both his mom at least. Because his dad already saw him put his arm in the wood chipper. But here, there's an explosion, and Clark is safe. For all intents and purposes, they're both safe, but, like, realistically, if Clark is invincible, right? Whitney is not. And, like, Clark's jacket is completely, it's a little burned, it's smoking, but he would be on fire still. He just wouldn't hurt him. And Whitney would probably be hurt more than just by the car accident, But, Clark, Pete, and Chloe decide to investigate Greg. After Greg shows up and attacks both Clark and Jonathan. And Clark recognizes him. So they start to investigate, and that's where they find his mom's dead body, and Lana is his next victim, his mate, so to speak. Whitney goes to talk to Lana at the stables, and, he apologizes. He's like, well, I got scared. I'm like, no, the word you're searching for is jealous. You got jealous when you saw Clark and Lana together. Excuse me. Greg shows up and just yeets his ass, and then takes off with Lana. And then Clark shows up, and he's like, he knows exactly where. Clark comes alone though, so he must have super sped out of there and left Chloe and Pete at Greg's house. I don't know, but so he gets there, and he tells Whitney, he's like, there's a treehouse, which they mentioned earlier in the episode. They mentioned that there was a treehouse that Clark always got woozy around, and he says, well, it's structurally unsound, or structurally unstable, but this because it's near meteor rock. That's why, because he's still figuring out that this makes him woozy. And I tell you what, Tom Welling does a good job of showing that he's infected. It's supposed to make him sick, so he looks like he's gonna be sick. So he's like, it works. It works. So he tells Whitney where it is, and he super speeds off. And Whitney's like, "I want to apologize." You go. Clark goes to the treehouse. He finds Lana, and then confronts Greg in the foundry where he's weakened. Which I understand why they do it, but it's not necessary. Greg has superpowers now too. Like, you weaken Clark so that other normal people can fight him, but Greg has superpowers too. All it does is nerf Clark so he can't fight back right away, and eventually he does. And then he notices that Winnie has arrived and he saved Lana. So, yeah. And then Clark goes to Lana's door and he puts the necklace on the door. And we get Lifehouse again. The calling. If I could, then I would. I go wherever you will go. Yeah, the calling. That song. Like, Lana comes out, she sees it, and Clark is hiding and he walks down the road. And that's how the episode ends. This was fine. The whole bug thing, he just creeps me out, man. Made me itchy. But yeah, this was fun to go back and watch. It's fun to go back and watch these and see the early 2000s aesthetic that the show has. It's very much early 2000s. Like, yeah, at one point, Whitney is driving and he's listening to Last Resort by Papa Roach. This is my last resort. And I'm over here making something going. Because it's the, music of my generation. A lot of this music is when I was in 8th grade to high school. So a lot of the stuff in the first few seasons, at least, is going to be stuff I listened to when I was in high school. It's going to make me feel old. Yes, but I'm still trying to grasp the fact that this was 22 years ago. I don't want to think about it. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to give this 3 Superman logos out of 5. It's fine to go back, but that bug thing just... I will say, though, Chad Denella is pretty good in this role. You always see him as the goofy friend from Final Destination, or the stupid cop from Solid Final Chapter, crazy. But he plays good as this antagonistic person. He's great. And I'm surprised he wasn't a recurring role. Like I say, he shows up one more time, but it's not till season 10. Yeah, I don't know. It's like the 200th episode or something that they do, but yeah. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on Smallville episode 2, Metamorphosis? In the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.